That's crazy. They're just talking to him. He's just one of us.
I brought hoodies for these guys, and so I wanted to have a ceremonial pass.
Message me is like, yo, do you know anywhere who prints videos? I need a bunch in like a week.
So that was 3
hit up Astro, yeah. Raj and I are like in constant contact.
That's amazing. That's
we've
awesome.
got like a brain transmission thing going on.
That's great.
Also, he's on Discord. That's how he works.
That's awesome.
So a lot of people round of applause for that. So.
Wow.
For sale, if you guys are looking for something warm for the fall. I know it's a terrible day. It's a terrible day to pitch these.
Remember what it's like later.
Where are they for sale?
Pardon me?
Where are you selling them?
I can sell a few of them right here, but then we have a booth CM25 in the community area, and I can say hello and take pictures. What? It'd be great if you did, because then we don't have to take them all home with us.
Well, Fan Expo, thank you guys for taking the time out of your weekend to come to this panel. My name is Steve Garia. I'm going to be your moderator today. It's a very exciting reunion. I want to hear, though, round of applause, cheer, everything. Have you guys watched EP, Reviews on the Run? Did you guys grow up with these three faces?
Yeah! Woo!
Yeah, because I'm in good company, because so did I. I grew up watching these guys playing Super Mario 64 on the N64, and then seeing, these guys be pioneers in the games industry for Canada and worldwide, honestly. So I think this is a really special moment for the community to come together and see this.
I can't. Don't make me cry, man. This is
I'm sorry.
He hasn't even started.
Yeah,
Not
I'm
even
sorry.
the first question.
It's fine.
Not a single question in. Without further ado, Sean Hamm, Marissa Roberto, and the Godfather himself, the VP, Victor Lucas.
It's amazing.
So I'm really curious, though. I mean, I've met all of you, formed personal relationships over the years, but I'm curious, when's the last time you three have been in a room together?
The same room together.
Long
Yeah.
time.
It's been ages.
Like
Way too long.
I've seen each of them separately.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, he lives far away, and actually, you kind of also live far away.
I do
Let's
live
be
far
for
away.
real.
Yeah. We live in a cornfield.
Yeah.
And then we had this thing, the pandemic.
Yeah, that
Stupid thing
happened.
got in the way.
It sucked a few years to us for
Yeah.
sure. So no, it's been. I couldn't even tell you honestly.
I'll say 10 years.
Let's
Yeah.
go with that.
Yeah. It was weird wrapping up the show, because we were all so tight and we
No one should.
What? No.
I'm just teasing.
All good things.
Listen, it's excellent stuff. It is weird because there's a certain familiarity with the routine.
Yeah.
And when you're doing a job like the ones that we were blessed enough to have on EP and Reviews on the Run, it's like, okay, this is there's a lot of go moments, but when you get into the headspace, we're like, all right, this is my life. This is really rad. I love this. And then when it's winding down, it's like, oh, what did it do? Nothing else feels as exciting.
No, you're right.
It's
the same.
do I really want to work in spreadsheets again?
No.
I do now,
No.
and I love it. You still, the nice thing, the takeaway is that we were lucky enough to work with such an excellent crew.
Yeah.
Not just the faces that people got to see, but everyone behind the scenes, just all out, just gave it their all every single day.
Oh my gosh.
Much more than we did, actually. I feel like I'm a slacker compared to some of the people behind the scenes, which I am.
Wait, reviewing 5 games a week is hard work, Sean. What do you mean?
I mean, they had to edit out all our mistakes.
And we had so many.
So many mistakes. But yeah, I wanted to say the takeaway is there's amazing people all over in every industry, and so no matter what thing I got up to next, I still found that camaraderie and that level of love for the thing that we're working on, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I take away from my experience at EP. Sorry that my phone is on there.
He's a very popular guy.
For people who don't know Vic, how did EP Reviews on the Run, how did that all start? Like, what was the inception? Was it a table napkin at a bar? Did you guys just come up with that idea? Like, what was that?
It was a, you know, honestly, it was one of 100 different kind of concepts that I had when I was 27, and I saw 30 coming, and I was working as an actor and as a waiter, mostly as a waiter, and I didn't want to just wait for somebody to discover me as an actor, and I thought, okay, well, I need to come up with something to do, you know, for my future, and so I wrote down a whole bunch of different ideas, and my wife and I were together the entire time. She's here with me. I think we were boyfriend and girlfriend. We hadn't been married at that point, but she was watching me basically go through this midlife crisis when I was in my 20s, trying to figure out what the hell my life was going to be about. And then I settled on a TV show that was going to be around video games and entertainment that was going to look like Entertainment Tonight and Siskel and Ebert fused together. And so that was the pitch that we went out with, that put a 3-page concept together and just started meeting with people in the broadcast industry, and then also importantly people in the video game industry, and got everybody kind of on board with what the concept was, even though we'd never produced anything. And people slowly started to trust us with this idea, and it took a couple of years, but we launched in September of '97.
And here we are with all of you guys here.
Yeah.
What a cool moment. Marissa, what about you? Like, where were you in your life when you got the phone call back of like, hey, you're coming aboard, you're part of the family now?
Oh my gosh, wow. It honestly started at Fan Expo.
It did?
It started at Fan
Yes.
Expo. I was there, I rented a video game, I rented a video camera from my school. I was in journalism school at the time, rented a camera, snuck in, said I was pressed. I was totally not pressed.
You were pressed.
I mean, I lied a little bit, you guys, to get in. And I had my boyfriend, now husband at the time, be my camera guy. And we just went around. I really wanted to. I love video games. I love G4. I love Victor Lucas. I love the whole scene. I wanted to be a part of it. But I didn't quite know how. But I knew that I just wanted to be a part of this world somehow. So I just got here. I interviewed as many people as possible. I interviewed Victor Lucas. I stood up in one of these panels. I went to one of their panels. I stood up and asked a question. I just kind of put myself out there. And maybe it was months later. I'm not sure. But he had sent me a message asking if I would come and audition for the show. I almost put my pants. I was so excited. I was so nervous. We had a few auditions, Sean and I together, and it just, I don't know, he just became my brother, and it just became this dream that, I don't know, I walked into it almost, it felt like, and it was the best gig ever. It was the best gig ever, because you're just playing video games. And yes, I still have my serving job on the side. Like, Canadian television isn't, you know, the most lucrative dance.
It's not a lottery win.
It's not a lottery win, no, but it is in the sense of finding a hobby that you can turn into a career, and it just taught me so much about being on camera, about having a co-host, about just finding words to describe things that you love, and I'm just so grateful for all of it.
And Sean, how about yourself?
Yeah, I got an email from Vic out of the blue one day, and I was like, is this real? Is like Victor Lucas with the TV show? He's like, hey, I'm gonna be in town. You wanna meet up on Sunday for coffee? And I was like, all right, yeah, I guess. And he gave me like some ungodly hour, like it was so early in the morning, and the previous night. So I was in this. Was it really?
Sean at the time.
I'll go back and check later. We'll citation.
Are you
needed.
up at noon?
Citation needed. I was in a band at the time, and we played a show, and I got home at like 4 a.m. That's why it felt super.
It was the crack of dawn.
So I took the train down, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna like want me to like write for his blog or whatever, because like at that time, electplay.com, I believe, you had a blog that was a compliment to the television show, and I'm like, I'd never done TV before, and I had a blog. I was already talking about video games.
Toronto Thumbs.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, maybe Vic wants me to like write on his blog every now and then. So I go and I meet him in the hotel lobby. He's like, yeah, I think you'll do great. You're gonna go interview my wife. And I'm like, what? What is this? Are you sure? Me? I'm tired. And then like
Episodes of the show going all the way back to season 1, episode 1. Are going up every week. You're in the chat. You're making a big to do.
Yep.
Talk to me me about that. How important is it for you to preserve these episodes, make sure that they're accessible, and then also have them available in 4K, which is unbelievable?
I feel like it's incredibly important, and more so when you look back at them now and kind of recognize that we had this great privilege of being at these different studios and in these different moments. And this all happened with University of Toronto of, I'm forgetting the, Mississauga. Yeah, you guys know, sorry. I don't live here, I'm out of Vancouver. University of Toronto, Mississauga. Chris Young, who I was introduced to by Scott Jones, has been putting together this incredible library, and he brought the Sid Bolton material there, all the, rest in peace Sid, all of this incredible history of the video game medium. And then Chris and I talked about maybe augmenting that with all of our video content, and we loved that idea, didn't recognize how much work that was going to be. But Chris came to Vancouver and we boxed them all up and sent them out to Toronto, and UTM is digitizing everything for their own educational purposes and as part of their archive for their students. And then as part of the agreement is they're giving us the assets. But I didn't want to just stick everything up all at once. I wanted to kind of celebrate each episode and kind of relive what it was like when we launched them back in the day. And so, yeah, we premiere them every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock Pacific, noon Eastern. And it is a trip to go back. It's also been a trip to interview people that I interviewed, 30 years ago or 26 years ago or whatever, and sort of reconvene with them and figure out where they are now in their journey and go through all of that. But I feel like this business is very quick to dismiss its history and very quick to just move on and forget about the people and definitely the products to a degree, but I think most importantly is these teams. That they're so fragile and so precious, and they just get forgotten about, And we talk about all of the layoffs that are happening today, but this is an industry filled with, amazing success, and then almost amazing, in a bad way, of closures of these companies just going and fighting it. And we were there covering all of these different projects as they were coming together, and all of this hopefulness, all of this optimism, and showing all that off. And so it's important, I think, to look at that in context, but I think it's also important to kind of recognize that that work continues with people working in these different creative industries, whether they're video games or animation or whatever. And I feel like we're not focusing on these creative projects enough. We're focusing on the finished work, but not the impetus to be creative and pull a team together and get all that stuff together. So that's what I kind of want people to think about when they're watching classic stuff, is that no, there's still a lot of people that have the dream out there, and we should let them have a little moment in the sun.
And I think the other thing that I'm reflecting on as I think back to all those classic episodes, or even like the full run of it, is how much of an authentic level of diversity there was across EP and reviews on the run. I mean, we're looking at the panel right here. Going around the block here, like, how do you guys all reflect on that? Now, like, you look at so many channels, so many like properties and shows in the games industry. It's white dudes, talking heads, but EP was different. It has been all this.
Well, it's an unconscious thing. It was, we hired writers, like Sean was writing for Toronto Thumbs. Marissa was showing us that she was ready to be a producer and produce her own things. And then Steve and Raju were writing for the main papers here in Toronto, and Scott was writing for all kinds of different outlets out of New York. And Ben Silverman was an ingredient in that. Jose was a different story.
Jose's still a different story, honestly.
But Jose was just pure love, man.
Yeah.
Like when we met Jose, he was in the G4 US forums as our biggest fan, but not just of us, of the whole bloody network. He just basically turned it on and changed his whole career path, his life, and he was just espousing positivity in every post.
Yeah.
And I'd read that and I'd go, well, I want that guy in my life. I want to know who this human being is. And so we asked him to be a PA at GDC, and then he slowly just became an essential ingredient in Electric Playground. And then eventually we pushed him in front of the camera at a wrestling event because I knew crap about wrestling. I don't know what to ask these people. And he wore a suit and dressed up in a suit and interviewed wrestling. It was amazing. Yeah, it was awesome.
Just so on brand for him. He has not changed at all.
No, he's wonderful. But yeah, it was all just an organic, like honestly, really talented people, let's put them together and let's see. And I had to push people in front of the camera, even Jade Raymond. I had to kind of push her in front of the camera. I said, you know this world. You're going to ask amazing questions. It's not just because you look good. You're going to ask really cool questions. Get out there, do it, go. And I took a little bit of that with Sean, and not so much with
No, I actually wasn't. Vic was there with me for my very first red carpet. It was like the Avengers red carpet or something.
Yeah.
It was so intense. Like, I don't know. You guys have never seen Hemsworth in person, okay? Hemsworth in person is a literal god. I didn't realize that
Wall of a
this
man.
He was a wall of a man. I have no idea. I almost passed out just looking at him because he was just so tall and stoic, and I'm like, are you real? Like, I was just frozen. They just pushed me onto the red carpet, like, ask this, I'm like, okay. Like, it was just, ask him this. It was just so, I was dead in my tracks. I couldn't deal with the amount of star power that we were seeing in front of us, but Vic pushed it out of us for sure.
I have a thing to share about the diversity, the organic diversity on the show. I think, for one, I feel that the show was as successful as it is because there were so many different personalities representing different cultural backgrounds on the show. And so it didn't matter who you were, there was someone on the show who you felt some sort of connection to. It's like, oh yeah, I can relate to this person. And I feel that that's important, especially if you're trusting this person with opinions on, what video games to check out.
You are the reason that we did all of this, that I was also sitting in this audience, because we wanted this, we love this, and that's why we're here. We want to support this thing, we want to support this industry.
Yes.
So we'll do whatever we can to do that. It's just hoping that the outside world, outside of our own bubble, also appreciates everything that's happening in this industry.
Sean, do you have any reflections on the current state of games media?
It's difficult. A lot has definitely changed. And now something that is a little bit, I don't want to say it's upsetting, but it's like a pet peeve maybe of mine, is the reference to creative material as content. It's like you are diminishing all of this work that you put into making something by calling it content, and then it lives for seconds. Maybe
Everything's
a day,
ephemeral.
Yeah.
and then it's like gone.
Yeah.
And that to me is sad. And like on even on the entertainment side of things, when you're talking about like television shows or movies that are like, oh, it's on the streaming platform, and it's like, oh, now it's pulled. It's like there's no way to relive that unless you resort to other means that people don't intend.
Games getting delisted now.
Games getting delisted. Yeah. So I've got an extensive collection of old stuff. But as far as like the state of
Don't we all?
Yeah.
we all have
Thanks,
an extensive collection of old stuff on the stage right now.
Thanks, Sean.
I'm paying for botox for a reason, Sean.
I feel like the stuff that EP did and that Vic continues to do with these in-depth discussions on why creative people make the things that they make, what their hopes for their projects are. Like, these are important conversations because like you can try to glean some perspective of the artist from the work that they do, but like getting to talk to them is like that's a real
Well, that lasts
lesson.
forever, and that's what these old shows kind of represent too, right? Like those, I don't think we're going to be looking at old live streams,
No,
right? I think we're going to be looking at classic interviews,
Yeah, exactly.
right? We're going to be looking at these conversations of these moments, and that's one thing that I definitely encourage any people that are making material out there is to have real, thoughtful conversations with people and try to have those things be about more than just what's in your game, and what features are you promising for your game. You didn't do that on the last game, so how are you, that stuff is, it's okay, it's part of the process, but let's find out the why. Why are you working so hard?
Absolutely.
I remember one of the only notes that I gave to these guys, because they were awesome reviewers right away, but I said, people know the how to play this stuff. They know the features and the buttons. We want to know how you feel about it. How do you feel about it? And how do you interpret all this? So let's get to know you guys. And they were wonderful.
I do remember that. We had to go back for another audition. It's like, wait, we killed it. We didn't? Okay. Go back.
Run it back.
Yeah, run it
Run it back
back.
one more
We
time.
can do that, Sean.
Yeah.
I want to get some audience questions, but before I do that, I do want to play a little fun nostalgia game with each
Ooh,
of you.
yeah.
of you.
Okay,
I went back into the archives, went as far as back as I could, and I want to see if you guys can recall reviewing a specific thing and going back to all of this. So Vic, you and Scott Jones did a re-review of Grand Theft Auto 3 on PS3.
Yeah.
Naturally, you both agreed that it was a 10 out of 10 game. I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you originally tried to pitch your review score as?
12.
So close. you were trying to play fast and loose with it by giving it a 15 out of 10. I don't blame you. It's a great game.
Yeah, I look at that as a linchpin moment, like when everything changed.
Yeah.
Mario 64 changed everything, and then when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, it kind of showed that you could have mature rated content that was coming at this as a narrative-driven enterprise for people that had grown up already with games. It was a totally different medium again. Yeah.
Marissa, one for you. Back in 2012, you and Sean reviewed Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the iPad. What do you remember about that, and what do you know what you gave it?
I don't remember anything about anyone or any game. I'm gonna just guess.
What did you give Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the iPad version?
I have no idea. What did you ask about? We got to do our first Grand Theft Auto game. That was a vibe for sure. I don't actually know.
5. It was 5. We got to. We somehow.
It was 5.
We
We
got
got
the
to review
review
5.
of 5.
I know. I couldn't believe it when he messaged us to say we were reviewing Grand Theft Auto 5 because we were the mobile babies.
Yeah.
We were doing mobile games.
And we were
iPad
like the
games.
newest reviewers on the show.
Yeah. We're like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? What is
I
that?
think we had everybody review.
And I had told myself it was just me this whole time.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. I don't remember that game specifically. I'm just gonna guess and say 7.5.
Oof, 3.
Oh!
You're fired.
I can guess what the problem was. It was probably the controls on the iPad.
Yeah. And for reference, you get your 4 point.
Oh, you were nice.
It was nice.
Nicer. Yeah.
Potato claw.
Now, Sean, you and Marissa went through the gauntlet, talking about mobile games. Playing Halo Jump Pro. For those that don't know, it's an early iOS Halo game, clearly not licensed by Microsoft whatsoever.
I do remember that.
Yeah. I probably gave it a 0 or less.
Oh, you went last. You gave it a hard negative 10.
Wow.
You were not kind.
I mean, remember when apps were just like, here's a lighter? It was barely anything.
And we made 2 minutes of television with those.
We certainly did.
Oh my god.
You never reviewed the lighter.
You know what though? I got great feedback from a video game maker that this was his favorite team. Team Lustrous was his favorite team on the show because he could watch the show with his iPhone or his iPad and download some of the apps as these guys were talking about them. And there was a moment where it was new discoveries every week. Now we take it all for granted and we have our 15 apps that we never delete or whatever. But back then it was all brand new. It was all like emerging, and it became an important part. You guys were essential.
I honestly
Yeah.
I kind of crave that. Like, I crave somebody telling me what mobile game is good right now. Like, I need to know, so maybe we should start up again.
I'm down. We should do it. Yeah. Like, people would just be like, hey, what apps are good? I mean, like, calendar's great. Can't go wrong.
Every day.
How about Sheets? Sheets is up there for sure.
I never used it, actually. You know what? I don't know my login for anything. So if I'm not logged into it on a device, I never will be. And that's it. So I use my computer for
Password 123 is the password.
I want to open up the floor. If anyone has any questions, put up your hand. Let's back in the black shirt here.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, this is amazing. Thank you for sharing all these stories. I'd love to take us back on a personal level. What were some interviews you remember that were memorable for you, and why were they memorable for you?
I did, yeah, so many interviews. I really will always cherish getting to interview Keanu Reeves. I got to meet him twice, and he was just like, I was like, oh my god, that's Keanu Reeves, you know, I'm talking to Keanu Reeves. Like, that's all that was going on in my head. I'm like, I gotta pay attention to what he's saying, but he's like, he's here and he's stunning. Anyhow, so I'll always cherish that. I got to interview Mark Ruffalo and Kobe Smulders for the first Avengers movie.
Your community interview.
Oh, the community!
So
Oh, yeah!
good, yeah.
Danny Pudi and Allison Brie, yeah. Because we hugged the entire interview. And then, like, Allison Brie was weirdly familiar with me, which at the time I was like, I don't know if I should feel good about this. Like, I'm married, but now I'm like, no, I was okay to feel okay about that.
Yeah.
But you know what was interesting is after doing that interview and taking the selfie of us hugging, Steve Tilley had an interview after, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna get them to hug me too. And then he did, and actually, like, Danny Pudi had his like leg around Steve.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
like, wow, he went up me. So
Yeah.
just if you're gonna go interview someone and have like the best interview of your life, don't post about it until all your friends also interview them. So they can't.
Thank you. For me, I will always remember that red carpet. Just the amount of stars that passed through. But I got to have a moment with Paul Rudd.
That was the Avengers.
That was the Avengers red carpet.
Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
SDCC.
insane.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it was there was just so many people there, and the scrums, like, imagine just having a bunch of people around you with mic, like, it was so intense, but I got to have a private moment with Paul Rudd, and he was awesome. He was just so cute, he was so sweet, he was exactly like Paul Rudd is. Everything he presents off camera, on camera, he is off camera, and it was just so personal and nice, and we got to have this little moment in a bubble on this insane red carpet, so I'll always think back to that, plus it's still in my room.
That was amazing.
It was a good moment.
Little cheat moment for EP at that
It was a
red
cheat
carpet.
moment.
We
Yeah,
had
there's so many of us.
we had 3 crews covering Comic-Con.
Yeah.
But our show was 2 shows. We had the Reviews on the Run logo too. So I just snuck Sean and another crew at the end of the carpet with another microphone. And so we got everybody as they passed through. That was very effective. That worked.
Sometimes you get to cheat the system a little.
And
Yeah.
when Robert Downey Jr. came up to us, like, everyone's like shouting at him, and I was like, I had the question. I was like, what is it like returning as Tony Stark after like so many, like, you've gotten to play Tony Stark more than these other guys got to play their characters, or something like that. And he like immediately looked at me.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
answered my question, and no one else got a question.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've had the privilege of meeting all kinds of incredible people. We did the making of Iron Man, so with Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. At recording space. Robert Downey Jr. was in his Tropic Thunder blonde hair. Yeah, but he was super cool, and they didn't know what Iron Man was going to be. One of the cool things is we actually were on behind the scenes of them doing the effects for the film, and they were showing us the Iron Man sort of flying and shooting down a rocket and everything. It was incredible, and they had no idea it was all going to happen. Stan Lee was there, and Stan Lee's my go-to as my favorite celebrity that I've ever had the chance to hang out with. And I've talked about him before, but I think one that comes to mind is Robert Rodriguez. I got flown down for a Spy Kids junket, and I just hit it off with him. He's such an inspiring human being. You know, he's a guy that just goes with whatever budget he's got, and he always over-delivers with the content that he makes. There's that dreaded word. And and he just was really a super fascinating guy. We hit it off right away about HD cameras back then. They were still kind of an interesting new phenomenon, but fascinating man, super talented. So he's the first guy that pops in. Yeah.
Let's go back here. Yeah, you.
Eddie?
Eddie, yeah.
Since there has been a time you and your co-reviewer gave wildly different stories to the game and the debate that ensued.
Oh, that happened.
You had that.
No.
Yeah.
You and
That
Tom
was you.
every time.
You and Scott, I feel like you were just opposing.
Oh yeah, his Uncharted 3 review.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It still burns, doesn't it? It still burns, yeah. That was...
Yeah.
6.5, Scott.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
just-
God.
That's fair, that's fair.
That's
Uncharted
so
3.
wild.
Yeah.
Wait, the
The
same.
one that was brutal though was Tommy gave like Homeworld a 2 out of 10 or something like that.
Okay.
But he said if I've got a pebble in my shoe and I take it out, I'm gonna throw the pebble on. I'm not gonna walk around with a pebble in my shoe. It's like it's a video game, dude. It's a beautiful work of art. How are you devolving into that? But I appreciate that people have different likes or different perspectives on it. That was a masterpiece there.
don't know if Shannon and I disagreed often.
No. And I don't think like I ever got upset if you didn't like the same stuff.
No, I think we wanted that. I
Yeah.
think we wanted to disagree more.
Yeah.
You can't fake that though.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a game called Project Cross Zone, which we were calling Project X Zone. And it's like one of these grid-based, turn-based battle games with like anime people, and there's like lots of anime women, let's say. And the choice of clothing, you know, is...
Well, I don't really think
Yeah.
armor, like
And
a
then-
nipple covers constitute as armor.
Right, exactly. So Marissa
okay.
took some...
I was offended.
what
I mean, as a
upgrades
woman
you
who would
use?
want to be
Yeah,
protected, I was...
Yeah. And
My nipples are so
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
okay,
so-
guys, we're good.
she flagged that
I
as
did.
like, and that was very detrimental to your enjoyment of the game.
It
And
was,
To
yeah.
me, it wasn't as detrimental. And I
There
think
was a
like
lot
that.
of grooming happening, okay? Like, it was some things
Yeah, it
happening
was-
with the storyline. I didn't vibe with it all.
Also, like, I was a different person back then. And now if I were to look at it and be like, whatever.
No,
Like,
I took heat in the comments for that one for sure.
Yeah, we both did.
Yeah.
And mostly for like mispronouncing the name of the game.
Oh yeah, true.
And I thought it was cool because they like brought characters from different genres together.
Yes.
It was like kind of a Smash Brothers thing. Anyway.
Yeah, so that was, I guess that was the nipple covers. It
Yeah.
drove us apart.
Me too. Me too.
I have a two-part question for all you guys that went through. Okay? What was your most memorable, most loved, interaction or moment that you had during the game? What was the worst and why? And the second question is for Rick, about Tommy Fallujah, because I just read the banter with you guys.
Yeah.
How did you guys start? How did you pick Tommy to start doing those reviews with you when you started back then?
Oh, okay, well that one's quick and pretty easy. I met him at the first E3, at E3 1995, and I knew who he was because I was reading all the magazines, and he was in every magazine. And he was very good at letting people know he was there. And he was great on camera. And we hit it off, and then I went to, I didn't see him again until the next E3, and he invited us to his party after the show, and so we went to his party, and somebody, his name is Chris Sherman, and it was in the big industry, had a meeting with me, and he said, you should have for your host is somebody that the industry kind of already is aware of, and that has some background in the video game industry, and I took that in, and then I was at Tommy's party, and it hit me, there were a bunch of other people from the development community there, and I thought, you know what, maybe he would be into this, maybe he would be a fit, and so I actually asked his father, he thought, do you think your son would be
How old was Tommy at the time?
Tommy and his dad were working together
Right.
all the time. Yeah, it was kind of like his de facto.
His dad was always in the pool.
Yeah, exactly.
I asked for his hand. And Tommy's dad approved. And so Tommy was okay, and then we brought him up to do a pilot, and which didn't air. And we hit it off, and it worked out. Definitely different people, but I think that's what people saw, and they liked that. Yeah.
The best and worst question is tough because I can't think of a worst. I'm racking my brain. Literally, probably the worst would be knowing that it was like we were going to get to
That
work
was
together
tough.
anymore.
Yeah.
That was
That last year was a very hard one for all of us.
yeah. It was tough. Like and I went through a couple of those moments because I knew I wasn't going to work with Sean anymore. That was really hard.
Yeah.
And then when the show just it felt so sad. I felt so sad leaving Vancouver because I moved to Vancouver to be with the team and work there and knowing it was all coming to an end, just like packing my stuff. It was very like sad music, rain, like just and because Vancouver so it's raining all the time, so imagine the drama of packing and leaving. So that'd probably be the worst. The best, again, it's just a team-based thing. It's not really about the people that you meet and the places that you go. It literally was spending time together. Like even just coming to Vancouver the first time to shoot our special, the Rock and Renegade special, getting to be on the plane together and just like hanging out and having a time and just all those moments because every single person on the show was just so genuine, so real. We all just wanted to have a good time together. So it really is both answers have to be team-based. We had a time. We had the best of times, we had the worst of times.
Yeah, it's great to have the luxury of time to let those feelings settle in, and have those key takeaways. And for me, the more time passes, the more comfortable I am, the more accepting I am of things. And so I don't feel bad about anything at the time at EP. It's all good. It really is all good. But one difficult time was that time we went to Tycoon for Rocket and Renegades. Because like, I'm going to be on this panel with a bunch of people who I greatly, greatly admire and I'm so lucky to work with. And I had terrible diarrhea all night. And I texted Marissa at like 3 a.m. And I'm like, Shoppers Drug Mart's closed. Do you have any Pepto-Bismol? Are you even awake?
Yeah.
And so she like is like, okay, I got you. And she comes to my hotel room and she's like, here are these pills. Like this will help. I'm like, what is this? She's like, but it's like ginger. And I'm like,
Yeah, it
all
was
right.
ginger.
I'll try it, and it didn't help at all. Like I've never gone to the bathroom that much in my life, and then the next thing was fine. It was like these guys are cool. Like why was I?
I was dying last night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were a little sick getting on the plane the next day. Me too, remember that.
I think my favorite moment of all having all you guys was
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I miss these three because you guys covered that stuff.
Best times. Yeah.
So I know we're running close to our deadline. I want to make sure we get one more in. David Barry, yeah. Let's go.
Appreciate it, Steve. First off, I want to say thank you guys for everything that you did. It really paved the way for a lot of other people to just have that game. You know, I'm coming home from school and watching the show and really shaking. Back to my question though, what would you say to someone who is starting their own careers in games media and is trying to make their own way? What's your advice to that person? And also, what's your advice for a great community?
Well, I would say collaborate. I would say that if, you know, the first thing is to network, is to kind of go out to these opportunities and these events or Fan Expo or whatever and get to know the people that are out there. And then I think a great way to stand out now is to work together and to build something with somebody else. And then think about that with every interview that you're about to have as well. Like you are creating something with someone else. It's not just to find information. You are creating something in that moment that people will find some value from. Whether it is information or whether it's entertainment or whatever, that you're trying to build something that kind of lives on its own. It's not just content. It's not just this, you know, this thing that's just going to flutter away. It's that moment. You're capturing that moment. So really try to make it a special conversation and think about where your questions are going to go that separated from it just being just pure, you know, you have 2 seconds or 2 minutes and you're just going to get that little nugget, that little exclusive piece, you know. That's what I would say. It's like really, especially because, you know, we are rife with podcasts and interviews and stuff like that right now. But I think anybody that's trying that needs to come at it from a different perspective. Like Steve's done a great job today coming with anecdotes and history and research and, you know.
That's the thing, the research, like you took time, you got the questions, you literally spent time with it, spent time with, you know, you have to spend time with it, you have to really know your subject matter. Just the more prepared you are going into the interview, the better you're gonna feel, and the calmer you're gonna feel, so you can just be yourself, which is the second piece of advice, is literally just being yourself. I know it's cliche, but the only reason that I've gotten the gigs that I've gotten and I've been able to get them is because I'm just bringing myself. That's all you can do. If you try to be somebody else, it's never gonna work for you because you can never keep that up. That's really even why we're up here today, is because we literally just were ourselves with Beck and that's it. Like you have to be uniquely you because everyone out there is doing a podcast.
Yeah, I do always look at the people that are collaborating and they're trying to find their way and there's no money and they're just working it out to try to, you know, break into the business somehow, but they're working together. There's something really beautiful about that because what we all miss is that working together, you know, and if you could really just strip it right down and we were all hungry and trying to do something on our own or individually, knowing what we would know, it would be like, well, let's just try it together. Let's see what we can pull off together, you know, because there's something really profound and beautiful in that, you know. And I think that's also, you take that with the conversations that you have as well. It's like, there's a little bit of let's build something special together, you know, not just people can get that information in a million places. Let's build something special together. So that's what I would recommend.
And for me, in addition to that, if you're covering something that you have a genuine enthusiasm about and a love for and a knowledge, that will shine through in whatever that final piece ends up being. And in terms of like how that takes shape, my recommendation would be toward conversation, more conversation, less sound bites. Like everyone's got sound bites. Like really try to dive in and try to like understand where people are coming from, what they intended with things that they're working on, what their hopes are, what their challenges are, how they overcame that. Because those are conversations that not a lot of people get to have. And so if you get the opportunity to talk to a games developer, ask them those questions. Don't be like, oh, how many guns do you have in this game? Talk to them like, oh, what kinds of research did you do? What interests you about this particular project?
Yeah.
What makes you excited to come to work each day? What do you love about this? Ask people what they love and why they love it. And you'll get much better answers.
Amazing. Well, because we're getting stares from the Fan Expo staff, we do want to respect everyone's time. One more time, classic episodes of EP are going up every Saturday. Be sure to check those out. Going down a trip on memory lane. And I do want to give one last round of applause, Sean Hatch.